I'd like to ask that we take out of order the appointments of the members of the Veterans Advisory Committee. Since they fought for the country, they shouldn't have to wait for 3 hours. That's a little gesture from town board. So I'm recommending first that we appoint William Aguilar, Carmen DePasquale, Hugh McCauley, Major John Dascos, Ed Malacote, Joseph Roca, Victor Vieira, and Steve Wittenberg to the Veterans Advisory Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would any of the veterans like to say something?
Good evening. Supervisor Paul Steiner, Town Board, thank you for having me here. Good evening. My name is Carmine DePasquale. I am the treasurer of the DAV, Chapter 16 of the Greenburgh, and a service officer for the DAV. I respectfully request that the Town Board approve the Veterans Advisory Committee and its tentative members. Veterans need to be identified, recognized, and thanked for their service within the community. The Veterans Advisory Committee would create respect and public awareness by partnering with the DAV members to educate veterans encompassing their benefits, directing veterans for helpful resources, show support and attend public ceremonies, veterans' funerals, street naming events, parades, and monument ceremonies. We are also involved in a fundraising for food drives at the Veterans Administration, for the DAV, also partnering with the American Legion at such events, for which Bill Aguilar is the commander for the Pelham chapter. We also like to continue the public awareness through the filming of the living history of veterans for the town of Greenburgh. Steve Wittenberg and Alan Hochberg has done an excellent job, and we hope to continue the Veterans Helping Veterans. The Veterans Advisory Committee core values goals will be dedicated to identifying, honoring, and fostering camaraderie among military veterans in our community. The committee will be dedicated to identifying resources for military veterans, encompassing veterans' benefits, education, and networking. The committee affiliates include DAV, Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 16, Greenburgh, New York. As a liaison to the town board, the Veterans Advisory Committee would create public awareness, respect, and honor of our military veterans. Our vision endorses and cause the Veterans Helping Veterans motto. Today, in attendance of the Veterans Advisory Committee, we do have Mr. William Aguilar, we have Major John Dascos, we have Edward Malacote, we have Victor Vieira, and we have Mary Ann DeToma. I would like to give the floor to Major John Dascos at this time.
My name is Major John Dascos, and I want to thank Mr. Paul Feiner and members of the board. Very briefly, the reason we're here is we want our vets to be recognized primarily in the benefits that are available to them. And we are here together to get the approval from the board here, again, to let them know that the benefits, many of the veterans here in this town are not aware of what's available to them as benefits, whether it's prescription drugs, eyeglasses, medical, etc. And as you know, we have many vets who are unfortunately not capable of getting around. And we're going to try to reach out to them as best as we can. And also we hopefully, as you know, there's a headstone across from the train station, am I correct? Yeah. So we want to try to polish that up, fix it up a little bit, and make sure it's visible. Again, I want to thank you people, and hopefully you give us the endorsement so that we could assist the vets who have served throughout the United States and around the country in protecting the United States flag. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good evening. My name is Ed Malacote.
a veterans advocate for approximately 36 years, mainly with the American Legion, and working my way up to New York State Vice Commander, President of the New York State Press Association for the American Legion, member of the DAV, Jewish War Veterans, and quite a few others. But I've been retired from the New York City Board of Education now for 7 years as the custodian engineer of Stuyvesant High School. And now I have a lot more time to devote for veterans issues. And we're going to work with the committee. And it's good talking to you this evening.
Thank you. I don't have a speech ready, so I'll just talk from the heart. Myself, I'm a Vietnam vet. I was on a cargo plane over Cambodia when it went down. Wheelchair for a couple of years. Wasn't walking, 3 back operations, cancer, the whole bit. And the VA never took care of us, okay? And this is why I'm so strong with veterans. Not just the veterans that were in wartime, but also the veterans that Cold War or after. As long as you served and you have an honorable discharge, I think everybody, all veterans are the same. And all veterans do have access to the VA. There's a lot of benefits that they have, they're entitled to. And in the last couple of years, as with the American Legion, I'm commander of American Legion, VFW. I work with Astorino on his advisory board. And it's a pleasure being here because as a Hastings resident. And this is why we started this with Mr. Finer's help. And as I said, I'm not a great speaker, but from the heart, I want to help the veterans. Thank you.
Good day, board members. My name is Victor Vieira. I am one of the recipients, I guess, of the information that these gentlemen are trying to pass on. I had no idea about VA until 2009, and when I had a liver transplant, and I found myself in dire straits because I couldn't afford the prescriptions, and as a result, I had to turn to the VA. Back when I got out of Vietnam in 1970, I stayed away from the VA because of the bad name that it had, for lack of a better term. But since that time, they've improved significantly and have provided a significant number of benefits to folks that are returning. I'd like to pass that on. I'm also retiring shortly, and we'll have more time. And I'd like to help the veterans get that information out there. I am a program director, so I'm very familiar with establishing different processes and making these projects work. So I hope to utilize my skills to affect the efforts that we're going to be undertaking. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you mentioned you're a transplant survivor, and we have another group that we just formed, the Healthcare Advisory Committee, and they're going to be working with the transplant support group on providing information to people about medical services that residents could receive, and there's people who have had successful operations or transplants, and we could use them. They could almost provide some encouragement to people who are facing these operations and might be scared, and it's very frightening for somebody speaks to you and sees that you've gone through the process successfully. It could reduce a tremendous amount of stress. And also, people just don't know where to go to, whether it's veterans or for health care. Sometimes you need like a law school degree just to be able to fill out these applications. And even if you have the degree, sometimes you can't fill it out, so you have to go to somebody who has law review. But it's just so complicated, and that's where I think you could be really helpful. But I'm really so appreciative that you're going to be providing the service to residents, and I think that you'll definitely be helping a lot of people, and yeah, I think this is what a community should be all about, is neighbors helping neighbors, providing information. It's not just government passing laws, it's a community, and that's really what you're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Say just one more thing. That, no, we thank anybody that will help, but especially Mr. Finer. He's a strong advocate for the veterans, and I really appreciate it, and for all of us, I say thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't want to pass up our auxiliary DAV, Mary Ann. She's our president, and she does a lot of work for the veterans. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank
Thank you.
It would be helpful as a transplant recipient that you be, if you have the time, to be on both committees and therefore be a link between the two, sharing information back and forth. And there's no restriction on you being on one if you have the time to be on two.
Yeah, well, actually, it only helps belonging to more than one organization. I myself went to the American Legion College, specifically to learn about benefits. The VFW, belonging to the Westchester Advisory Committee with Mr. Serino Rontochi and amongst others. And what we learned there, we bring down here. What we learn here, we bring down there. And I happen to be Commander's Aide for American Legion for 5 different counties. So everything I learned there, I bring down here. But it's still not enough. So if anybody has, wants to help, have ideas, we're open to anything.
Yeah, you know what I meant.
Thank you.
Good.
I won't get up.
Thank you.
Victor, if you would be so kind as to share your email with me, I will put you in touch with Ira Cooperman, who is the chair of the Transplant Support Organization.
Great. Next, we'll have public comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Well, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Great.
And it's always a pleasure.
Have a great holiday. Enjoy the holidays.
I want to thank you for Marion Avenue.
Thank you.
Beautiful job.
Thank you for coming. That's all right. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
I like your tie.
No, it was good.
And you might consider it to dry this.
That's always the best one.
Yeah, that's, I never